Well, this room's in chaos, stuff all over the floor, my hair's gone all fluffy, and the lighting's dreadful. Can only mean one thing. Podcast day! Welcome to the May 2024 episode of the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast. My name's Lesley and this is a podcast about knitting, spinning, crochet, yarny stuff, filmed on the UK, on the south coast of the UK even. I should know this by now, I've been doing this for quite a few years. Welcome everyone, whether you're here for the first time or the many-th time, thank you for being here and thank you for all the comments and thoughts. I love to hear from you, so I really appreciate you taking the time to comment. Hope everyone's well. So we're at May. Gosh, time is flying as always. First of all, let me tell you about what I'm wearing. This is based on the Eureka by Nicola Suzanne, and this was made out of an assortment of lace weight yarns which I held double to give a sort of 4-ply fingering weight equivalent. When I'm wearing anything handmade during the podcast, I will put it in the notes below. I tend to record throughout the month and then kind of smoosh it all together, so I won't necessarily sit there and say this time I'm wearing this time I'm wearing that, but it will all be in the notes. Stripes you'll see as a theme of all the things I make and wear, because the reason why it's called the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast, despite the fact I have lots, is because I rarely have enough of a single colour to make a whole item. So the stripes, the blocks, the fades, the little designer details where I'm running out so suddenly the rib is in a different colour, that kind of thing is my usual. Let's talk about make-alongs first of all. There is a make-along running. It's been running since 24th of December last year and it will run until the end of September, I think I said. And it's the Modification MAL. So any pattern that you are modifying, and modifying is a fairly broad description. The only thing it doesn't include is straight yarn substitution. So if you're working on a pattern and the gauge that you've got with your other yarn is exactly the same as the pattern and you're not having to change any stitch count or row count or anything like that, that's not a modification, that's just a yarn substitution. But anything else pretty much goes. So if you add a shawl collar, for example, even if it's not a very good one, if you decide to do a 2x2 rib instead of the edging suggested in the pattern, if you're making a sock and you use a different type of heel or a different type of toe, you go top down instead of toe up, they're all modifications. If you're creating your own patterns, the ultimate modification, so that certainly is included. Anything where you're changing the length, the width, shaping, if it requires different numbers of stitches and rows, then it's a modification. The whole thing is being run on Ravelry. Thank you to everyone who's taking part so far. The patterns on there are amazing, and it really is kind of everything from very simple dishcloth type patterns to complicated garments. One I saw earlier, someone had started with a sweater pattern and made a dress out of it. You know, just anything you do that modifies it. Now this might be a modification to make something different, like the sweater to a dress, or it might just be a modification to make it better for you. So it might be a straightforward sweater or cardigan pattern, but you like a different sleeve length, or you like waist shaping, or you like a different kind of neck style. So it's not got to be anything too complex, just something where you vary the original pattern. I hope that makes sense. I think it does. Yes, it's all run on Ravelry. If you're unable to use Ravelry, please email me a picture of your work in progress or your finished item, and the email address is notquiteenoughyarn@gmail.com, and I will add it to the Ravelry thread for you, or the Ravelry thrav if you like. An overcomplicated spoonerism. There's a new skill. I use random number generator to pull prizes. I do that every quarter, and if your post on Ravelry has a photograph, that goes in for a physical prize, so usually yarn. Yeah. And if it's words only, that's a pattern prize. And words only can be commenting on other people's items. So it could be that you've seen someone else's project and you want to ask a question or make a comment or just discuss it. Those comments will all go into the draw for a prize. So yes, I think that's all the MAL stuff. So it's May at the moment, so I'll be drawing the next prize at the end of next month. So, yay! I think this will be quite a short podcast this month. Yippee, they all cry. Just been busy with lots of stuff and haven't had a lot of time for crafting. I've been working, you know, this jolly inconvenient work this thing. But I have done some spinning. And what we have here is yarn that I've made from fibre that was very kindly given to me a little while ago. So thank you very much to the person who gave this to me. And the fibre was from the Okanagan Dye Works. Sorry, I folded that so it doesn't show very well. The fibre is 100% merino. And I've produced a 3-ply yarn, 14 wraps per inch. It's quite heavy, quite dense, my handspun tends to be. So there's 113 grams here and I've got 138 metres, so you can see it is quite dense. I'll show you a picture of the fibre and you can see in this and in that the colours are lovely. So we've got this really good red, a yellow, an orange and kind of all shades in between. So what I thought I would do is something that I'm not even sure if it's a kind of usual practice. I'm guessing possibly not, I don't know. I like fractal spinning. I like 3-ply. So I thought I'd combine the two. So what that means is you take your braid of fibre and you split it. Normally fractals you'd do as 2-ply. So you'd split it in two and one half, and you'd split it lengthways. One half you would spin and you'd get very long colour changes. The other half you would split also down the length so that as you spin it you get shorter colour changes, and when you apply the two together you get parts where you've got colours together and you've got parts where you've got contrast colours together. I did the same principle but as a 3-ply, so 1/3 just spun as it was. Another one I split into I think 2. I kind of did a 1/6 each, so you had a slightly longer colour change. And then the last third I split into more sections. So it means we've got some variable colour in this. And we've got patches where you've got darker, where you've got 2 strands of red together with a purple, yellow. We've got other areas where you've got orange and yellow together, or 2 lots of yellow and an orange. So it will be interesting to see how this knits up. And in knitting up, I hope to enter it, if I get it done in time, I don't know what I'm going to make yet, but I'll make something, into Benta from the Epilogue Lady podcast's make-along, which is the Fluff to Stuff make-along. And she is a keen spinner, and a very good one. Annoyingly so, because I don't think she's been doing it that long, and she's very good. I'm cross. And ever so slightly jealous. But she's been spinning a lot and she wanted to give herself and others incentive to work with the spinning that she'd done. And she has the Fluff to Stuff MAL. So I will hopefully make something with this. I think her make-along runs all year, so I'll hopefully do something with this before the end of the year. And we'll see how it works up. I'll say knits up because I'll probably knit with it. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to make. I may just go for something very straightforward, you know, cast on 90 stitches, work in the round and make a cowl, you know, knit till I run out, just to see how it works up. So that's a possible. And so far this month, this is my only finished object of a knitting, spinning or crochet kind of vibe. But I have been working on another item, and people who watch the weekly vlogs, I do a vlog every Friday, which is kind of life, the universe and everything. Answers 42. Just kind of general what I've been up to. I made some items out of some of my late dad's clothes. That sounds weird. If you watch the next bit, you'll understand exactly what I did, and it will all make sense. If you'd rather not be dealing with loss, grief and all of those things, completely understand. Just fast forward till you get to the next blue sort of spacer pick, and that will be over. So, bit of handspun and odds and ends this month, which you'll see as we go along. Cheers. Hello lovelies. I look very pink. I'm not sure why. I always used to be white and spiteful according to my mother. So anyway, how are we? What I'm working on, I'm in my dining room at the moment because I'm using the dining table. I'm working on a project that isn't knitting, although it will require some knitting knowledge a bit further on. Yeah, so after my dad died, my sister was saying about someone she knew who made toys out of his shirt, out of the shirts of someone who has gone, as a memento. And she wondered if that's something I would like to do. Well, I don't do toys. I don't make toys. I don't knit toys. They are just truly shocking when I do. But I said I would make pillows or cushions. Now, my dad wore shirts, and he wore shirts with a collar rather than t-shirts. But also, he always wore zip-up cardigans. These were normally machine knitted ones that he'd bought, the likes of Marks and Spencer, that kind of shop. So I said I would do cushions using his shirts and jumpers, his cardigans. So that was the plan. It's been a little while, but I haven't got round to it yet. I ordered some cushions. I was trying to think of the best way to do it, to be honest, but I'll come on to that. I ordered some cushions with no concept whatsoever of how big that many inches is. For some reason, I thought I was ordering bigger cushions than I was. So I'm going to show you the ones that I bought. Right, so these are the ones that I bought, and they are just not big enough, not kind of what I want to work with. But ever a cunning plan, I have got some pillowcases and made some basically cushion covers. I'm going to take the stuffing out of these, plus some other pillows that I've got. Now these are a couple of round sort of bolster pillows that I got ages ago, thinking I would do stuff with and never did. So I'm going to take the stuffing out of all of these cushions, divide it into 3, and then stuff the pillowcase cushion covers that I've made. That will hopefully all make sense as I show you. Cheers. Okay, so here are my 3 piles of fluff. And in the nicest possible way, time to get stuffing. Right, so the cushions are made. I'm going to stop for today, but I have gone on to the next stage. As well as always wearing the same style of shirt and the zip-up cardigan, Dad, until the sort of last year when he started to get ill, always used a handkerchief, never a tissue. And he always had monogrammed handkerchiefs, which make him sound terribly grand. He really wasn't, but he liked good handkerchiefs with his initial on. And when I was growing up, when we started to do our chores, you know, as you grow up you start to do more and more chores, one of the first things we did was ironing, and we were given the ironing of anything cotton that it was difficult to put an iron through, basically. So all the 100% cotton stuff, tea towels, bedding, all of that stuff. And one of the jobs was to iron Dad's handkerchiefs. And we sort of ironed them and then folded them back so the initial was showing. So I thought I would add the handkerchiefs to this piece that I'm putting together. And what I've done is I've cut out the monogrammed bit. And put it there to cover the opening of the neck. So the cushion will fit up in here, and that will seal the shirt, if you like. The cushions are a bit lumpy at the moment. I was going to offer them to the four-legged member of the family because she likes a cushion and, you know, a bit like a cat needing biscuits sometimes. But although I think the great-grandchildren for whom I'm making these things wouldn't mind the fact that they'd been Heidi approved, I'm not sure their parents would feel the same way. So I'll just keep hugging the cushions to try and smooth them out a bit. Yes, I'm done for today. So tomorrow I will sew these bits in, which I think will be the most awkward bit that I've got to do. And then it's a question of seaming the shirts so that they fit the cushions, and then doing the same with the cardigans. And that's where the knowledge of knitting will come in, because they're a machine knitted fabric. So I'm basically going to be steeking. I don't do steeking. But what it does mean I'll do is the reinforcement with the sewing machine before I cut. So that's the plan. Cheers. Next stage, so difficult to see in this fabric, but I've seamed a pillow shaped piece of the shirt. Given how much of a guide I have, it's slightly worrying how wonky my seams are, but there we go. So now I'm going to trim around the outside of that to put the pillow in. So using the shirt buttons as an opening, I've now turned this inside out and put the shirt in. Put the cushion into the shirt. So that's that stage all completed, and now onto the cardigan. Right, we had some failed attempts on this. My machine just isn't handling the knitted fabric, so I had tried to do some sort of securing stitches to then be able to cut it like a steek. That hasn't worked, so I've just cut off the sleeves, and pretty much as I've done with the shirt, turned it inside out, sewn round the size and shape of the cushion, and then we'll put one inside the other. And then there's one last thing to go on. I ordered these from Etsy. Although my dad's name began with R, he was known by the grandchildren as Hobnob. It's a type of biscuit or cookie, an oaty biscuit. So that's how the kids knew him. So I've got these little with love from Hobnobs to sew onto the cardigans. So here are the 3 cushions all done, complete with their labels and their initials. They're a little bit lumpy, but hopefully some cuddling will sort that out. Hello lovelies. My himself has been away, and as often happens when he's away he finds yarn shops because he knows it's important to keep me sweet because I'm left doing all the chores and the dog walks in the rain. Oh yeah, and he loves me. So he very kindly bought me some yarn. There were 2 yarn shops where he was. One was closed, and he said that looked as if that might have had more interesting yarns, but I think what he bought me was very interesting. So they're all by Yarn Art, they're all commercial yarns, and this gorgeous purple, it's a DK weight, and it's their Merino Deluxe /50 range, which is 50% merino, 50% acrylic, and it's colour number 9561, 50% wool, 50% acrylic, I've already said that, 280 metres per 100 grams. So this is rather lovely. And then he bought me 2 yarns that he just thought the colours would appeal. So they're both 100% acrylic. And it's the Yarn Art Adore Dream Anti-Pilling range. And again, you've got 280 metres per 100 grams. But this feels really, really soft. And when I was talking about this on the vlog, I kept talking about yarns called soft. They're not called that. I'm thinking of, I think it's King Cole Smooth double knitting, which is a very similar construction to this. So it feels like bamboo. It just feels really soft, drapey. Yeah, just a nice sort of hand to it. So this is colourway 1075. So we can see we've got blues, reds, that sort of range there. And this one is colourway number 1061. And again reds, but this time with teals, turquoises, pale greens. So a lovely selection of colours there. So I am a very lucky girl. I still got cross about having to do the wet dog walks, because dog walks are normally for him to do. Because I go to work, he doesn't, you know, he's retired. But I will graciously accept his gifts and say thank you very much. I'm such a cheeky bear. Hello lovelies. I've been thinking recently, newsworthy in itself, but what I've been thinking about is which sweaters I actually wear. Now I know we always say there are 2 hobbies, there's buying yarn and using yarn, be that knitting, crochet, whatever. But I think there's also 2 hobbies, creating items and wearing items. Because I have a lot of sweaters that I really enjoyed making, and I'm really glad I made because I enjoyed that process, but I find I don't wear them that often. And maybe it's because it's the spring, so I don't want sort of heavy items. But one of the things that I've been wearing a lot recently is the Magpie cardigan. So this was based on the Magpie tendency, but I made a cardigan. And I found it's a very useful work item. I wear a lot of dark dresses. You know, if you conduct funerals, you wear a lot of black. But when I go to visit families, I tend not to wear like a suit jacket. I'll wear a cardigan or a top over the dress. Just a bit less formal. And the Magpie cardigan is a good weight for that. And I was going to make another. And then I was thinking, it will be my 4th Magpie. I perhaps need to look elsewhere for patterns. Not that there's anything wrong with it, clearly. I'm very happy with the magpies I've made. But I thought maybe I need to look for something else. And then I was also thinking about what yarn do I want to use to make something else. And viewers who go back... Oh, sorry about that bang. Viewers who go back with me a very long way will remember that before I had the podcast even, I had bought some cones of yarn. There was a place near to me that was selling discounted yarn, seriously discounted yarn, like 10p a cone discounted yarn, following the failure of the Texair Yarns company. And I picked up a mighty quantity of these things. And a lot of the ones I have are these, and these are silk. They are not labelled, this one is Dynasty Silk, pure Chinese Burette silk, 500 metres per cone. I don't know how much the cone weighs, I should know, but I don't. So, and I got it in a variety of colours, and I got a lot of this grey. I've also got a fair bit of this blue. Now, although it's silk, it is not soft. It is quite rough. Don't know if it will soften with washing or not. I have used some in other items and don't notice any discernible difference when the items have been worn and washed. So it's not something you would necessarily use to make silk scarves or something like that, because it just wouldn't be as comfortable as you might expect, given the name silk. So what I have done is I have plied 2 grey and a blue, along with some cream white undyed lace weight merino, and this was a leftover part skein from John Arbon, and so I have plied them together, and this is the yarn I'm going to use to make my next cardigan. I will need to do another one of these. I have some other cream undyed lace weight yarn, so I'd like to think that I'm on brand, because I won't be using all the same of the merino, even though these I will have enough yarn. This is probably about sort of 400 odd meters, 500 meters, so it won't be enough for the cardigan, but with the other lace weight I've got, it would be. So I've done one of these for the moment, and I like to, when I'm putting yarns together like this, I like to ply them on my wheel, because it gives a sort of true marl, because you've got the barber poling of the colours. So I've been applying Demon and have made this, so I shall now find a pattern. I could make another magpie, but knowing what the gauge is on the magpie, I can use that to find another pattern with the same gauge. And this means that the patterns are probably initially designed for thicker weight yarn, worsted weight, something like that. But I'm going to have a loose, airy cardigan in this colour to go over dark dresses. That's that. Hello lovelies. Got a work in progress and a finished object to show you. So the work in progress is the ranunculus, which I can't remember if I'd started it last month or if I was just talking about doing it. Both of these items are using handspun yarn, and this is the start of the ranunculus, and this first section, the colourful section, is ends that are left over when I'm plying yarn. Often you get, you're plying 2 strands together and you've got more on one bobbin than the other, so these are all the leftovers, and I have plied them with 2 singles made from alpaca. That's a fleece that was very kindly given to me by my mate Mand for my birthday a few years ago. So that's the colourful section. The straightforward marled section is some Worth Mill Yarns Saddleworth, which was a gift, so thank you to that lovely person. And I thought it would go well with the handspun, and I think it does. So this will be a combination of the Worth Mill and assorted handspuns. Now this is the ranunculus pattern. I had just put it over my head because I thought the neck looked really small. It is tight over my head, but not too tight. I can wear it. What I haven't done is put in the lace and texture pattern that you would normally have in the ranunculus. I just felt in the handspun those patterns would be lost, so haven't done that. What's interesting, because of the different colours within this particular batch of handspun, you can see the short row shaping. There's the front and there's the back, and you can see where the short rows are to put the shaping in. So that appealed to me. So I'm going to carry on with that. I was working on that, was with my sister at my dad's house sorting out some stuff, and once we'd sort of finished for the evening, we'd sit and I would knit. So that's when I got a lot of that done. Do please excuse the dog. She's chatty. That's fine. The finished object is also handspun, and this is a shawl, and it's quite a substantial one. I'm going to hold it up so you can get a sense of the wingspan. So quite a big one, and being my handspun, quite heavy. But it will be, I think, very cosy when the weather dictates. This is the updated truffle shawl by Melody Johnson, and it's a free pattern on Melody's own website, which I'll link below. And there are a number of free patterns by Melody, a lot of mitre panelled items, clothing, accessories. Some of the items are more size inclusive than others, because some of them you have the capacity to adjust and modify to make them fit you. I don't know what's upsetting Heidi today. My guess is someone is having the audacity to walk up the street. Or it could even be the postman, in which case, obviously, that is not acceptable and we have to have a protest. I call her my four-legged doorbell. Have you finished? Obviously not. So, so back to the shawl. We're just going to ignore the dog. So this was all using handspun, and it used 791 metres of it. And these were various skeins that I'd spun over the last year or so. The original pattern, I'll put a picture in here, was worked using stripes to show the mitre pattern, but same two yarns throughout. Obviously that's not the game I play. So I had 4 different colours, 5 actually. So I did 2 together, and kind of made it work. Modifications on the original pattern. The edging is worked in 2 pieces with a gap left here for another mitre square, and that can either be worked as a square so it comes to a point, or as a triangle, a bit like the one at the top, so you have a straighter edge at the bottom. I didn't do that because I didn't think I'd have quite enough yarn. Always on brand. What I thought I would do is pick up all the way round rather than in 2 sections, and at the bottom point of the piece I'd made thus far, I then just started doing increases to give a straight edge here. I could have also done increases or decreases as needed to make a point, but I thought it would probably be long enough as it is with a straight edge there. So that was modification number 1. And modification number 2 was my choice of edging, inspired by my dangle clusters of last month's shawl. These clusters are dangling better. So this was the fern that I made last month. But I just fancied something a little bit peacoat-y. There I go. I am making up words again, but if it's good enough for Shakespeare, it's good enough for me. So this was a very simple crochet edge. You only need to be able to do 2 stitches. And what I did is I still had all the stitches live on the knitting needles. And using the yarn, I slip stitched, not sure that's a verb, I did a slip stitch into 3 individual stitches, so 3 slip stitches, 1 into each stitch, and then I did 3 chain and then a slip stitch into the first of the 3 chain, and repeat all the way along. So 3 stitches effectively casted off by having a slip stitch in them, and then a little picot of 3 chain joined round to itself. It's made a nice flexible edging. It's not too stretchy, it's not flaring out, but it is working well. And this was on, I think, the same size hook, or it might have been a size smaller, to match the needles. So I'm pleased with how that's turned out. I was going to do a sort of knitted sideways edging, but didn't know how much yarn I'd have, And I do have a bit left over, but I can put that into another project. But I'm pleased with how this has turned out. So yes, a finished object, one that I will use come the winter. Actually, holding it up in front of me, it's not as thick as I thought, because I can see light through it. When I made a jig shawl, which I made from early handspun, it's like a weighted blanket. It's a very heavy piece. But this, I'm rather pleased with. I think I'll get a lot of use out of it in this room in the winter, when the back of my neck gets chilly. And it's a pattern I would certainly make again. Good way to use a variety of yarns, or if you've just got 2 colours or just a variegated yarn, you'll still get the effect of the mitres without having to have lots of ends to weave in, because I did have quite a few, but that was just because of the way I'd managed the yarn. And again, I use the word manage very loosely. So do I have anything else to say about that? No, I don't think I do. So that's it for this month. Just the one finished object. It's not a race, it's not a race, it's not a race. It feels as if I haven't been very productive on the crafting side, but I have been doing quite a bit of work, so there's only a finite amount of time in any given day, and we all have lots of commitments on our times, so I'm pleased I've got this done. This is good. Getting into June, so next month, at the end of next month, I will be drawing the next winners of pattern and physical prizes. So if you are modifying an item, please do feel free to add it to the thread on Ravelry, or to drop me an email, notquiteenoughyarn@gmail.com, if that's the better option for you, and I will add them to the thread. What else is happening in June? I'm going to kick the tripod. I'm having a few days off. My sister is coming to stay, and we're going to go out and be tourists. So if you watch the vlog, you'll see those adventures, such as they may be. Hopefully we'll have weather like this. We've had a beautiful day yesterday and another one today so far, so that's good. Yeah, so we'll be out and about in the local area. She is a keen photographer and also paints, so she sometimes takes pictures to then paint from. So we'll be looking for picturesque places to give her inspiration. I think that's the only thing I've got lined up for June, apart from the usual work, dog, home, and hopefully some crafting. I am definitely having a rethink. One of the projects that I was working on, I think it's in sort of time out at the moment, and I think it may well be unpicked and the yarn reused, but I'll have a ponder, and that'll probably be in next month's podcast. Apart from that, June will be busting out all over. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for your comments and thoughts. I hope that everyone's keeping well. I hope that you're enjoying what you're doing and you have time to do the things you love. So take care, everyone. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.